Hello and welcome to Mostly Minnesota Music Podcast Edition. I'm Ann Tracy. I'm here with my co-host,
Heather Baker.
Yes, and we are here with Sarah Morris. Yay!
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 Hello, Ann. Hello,
I feel
Heather.
like I know you have to have like confetti blow up in the background after like poof, flush
I love
the
that.
toilet and have it burst out.
Just
We
cute.
should totally do that.
Oh
Yes. The bathroom's big enough. We could have a confetti cannon in here, I think.
yeah. I feel like you deserve one.
We've had, 13 people in here once upon a pre-COVID toilet tunes.
I think I remember seeing a picture and thinking that is a lot of.
It was sweaty, but
It made me think of Woodstock.
it was very much like, I hope everyone wore deodorant today and chewed a little gum right before we got busy.
Yeah, that's a lot of closeness there. I guess that the pandemic at least brings us a little space.
Yeah.
I'd give it up in a minute.
I know.
Smelly or no smelly, I'd give it up.
That's totally, yes. I feel you on that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, today is the day, isn't it, that your new EP comes out?
It came out this morning, a Sunday morning. Who does that? I don't know. It just felt like the right day. I wanted it to be on the first day of spring. It happened to fall on a Sunday. So yeah. Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, well, and it's awesome between here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And given the theme of at least three of the songs coming out on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I mean, those are just constructs of a time we can barely remember.
Yes, it's all arbitrarily. I mean, I was talking to someone today. I was like, Tuesday is trash day. So I always know it's Tuesday. And that's maybe it. And my kids just finished spring break. So really it was 10 days of like, we left the house as a family 2 times. I couldn't tell you what was going on until it was today because I had to pay attention to today. But, otherwise I don't. Took the trash out and fed people. That got done.
Yeah. I think my kid is on spring break right now, but I'm not sure. And I don't know how I would know the difference because she hasn't been in a classroom in a year,
I know my kids too. So it's like you have to put air quotes around a lot of things. And for sure, spring break got air quotes big time.
Yeah. Well, that takes us right to tell us about the album. I mean, you have an interesting concept. It's Yeah,
it's a 4-song EP. I've been writing pretty much steadily throughout the pandemic, both because I belong to a songwriter group that has a deadline, like in a weekly prompt or a bi-weekly prompt series. That's been like my sanity, right? In COVID, when I'm like distance learning with the kids, and I have to say, I have to run away and work on the song because I do. And then the other reason I wrote songs pretty steadily is that when I took breaks, my husband would be like, "You're crabby. I think you're less crabby when you're writing." He's like,
nice.
It's totally right. So I had these songs, that were like poking at me, and they just felt like songs of now. And so I was kind of liking some things. And then what happened was I wrote a song on the piano, and I don't actually play piano very well at all. And so my drummer, Eric Larson, he had just gotten his like home recording rig. And so I was like, hey, if I sent you a really crappy demo from my bathroom of me, like singing this song and like plunking, then I went down by the piano and I like plunked like this. I said, would you be willing to like make me a nice demo so that I could hear what it was like with real piano? And he recorded this beautiful track. It was so lovely. And he sent me a text. He's like, and I recorded some accordion just because I had to. And it's like, I love that. And so I was going into the studio to record vocals for a Christmas song. And I was like, well, let me just do the vocals to this. And I loved it so much. And so at the same time, it's kind of all like swirling things. I did these 3 gigs with Jillian Ray at Lakewood Cemetery, where we were outside and spread super far apart, and she wore a mask and she learned a bunch of my tunes. And one was this new song I had written early COVID. for one of my Patreon subscribers. And when we finished playing the song, she said, I thought kind of casually, like, oh, that would sound really good with orchestration. And my heart just like leapt like, ah, yes, 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 yes. And so after we were done with these gigs, I was like, hey, you mentioned this. Is that for real? Because could we do that? And so I just, again, made a crappy demo in my bathroom and sent it to her, and she worked on it for a little bit of time and like tracked like 8 violin tracks and sent it back. And I was like, this might be the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And from there, I was like, well, what if I just kind of rounded it out with 2 other songs that I sort of had in my heart? And they'd be 2 other people. So the concept of the album is essentially it's 4 songs, 4 collaborators, and every collaborator was in charge of their song. And they got to put whatever they wanted on it. And they did it wherever they were. So one was tracked in California, something was tracked in Tennessee, something was St. Paul, Minneapolis. And there it was. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You wrote the songs at different time. And we should say 3 of the songs that you wrote, one is a Thompson Twins
Yes.
song. So we'll just, I was probably going to more bars in the 90s than you have gone to. I think I went to go see the Thompson Twins.
Yes.
In the 80s. I was going to bars in the 80s. I love that. That version of it is awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. So Graham Bramblett, he used to live in the Twin Cities. I don't know if you ever, okay. And he is one of my favorite songwriters. And he was a guest on my show, Toilet Tunes. So if somebody doesn't know what I'm talking about when I keep talking about my bathroom, I have this show where I invite people into my bathroom to do a cover song. And the deal is we have to practice it as little as possible and record it as quick as possible. And it's just, I've been doing it since late 2016. And it has been such a joy, like just given me an excuse to collaborate with so many people in the Twin Cities. We have so much wonderful musicianship, and like it's been such a gift. And so I don't know, 2-3 years ago, Graham and I did Hold Me Now, and he played guitar and I played glockenspiel, and we really had a good time with it. And we pre-COVID talked about recording it because he'd released a new album and I'd released a new album, where I was like, well, maybe if we just did the single, it's like in the middle, that'd be a cool thing. And then because he was going to come to Minneapolis and we would have done it in person, and then COVID meant that he wasn't going to come back to Minneapolis. And so when I was putting these other songs together, I just kind of like reached out and I was like, could you do this at your house? And we could just make it happen from afar. And he did. It sounds great.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so then I've done all my vocals at River Rock Studios, which is where I record normally. And I don't know, I was able to trick my mind and think we were singing to each other, even though he was not there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, when you were saying that when you collaborate with people with the Toilet Tunes, and made me think of, I was just listening to a podcast with like Shooter Jennings, and he's like, oh yeah, people were coming in and out of the house all the time with their instruments, whatever. Can't wait to hear what your kids say later too, like, oh yeah, this person, that person. That's really kind of a cool gift to give them too, just to see all these amazing people that they probably wouldn't have seen or heard till much later on some spectrum.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think they have like a neat kind of eye into like music making, what it's like to be creating, like what it looks like to just kind of always be working on your little thing, because that's what I'm doing. I'm like, we're talking and I'm like, hold on, I've got to go run to the mud room where I can lock myself in with my recorder really quick. But then, yeah, they do get to see music happen in a way that's really cool. Yeah.
Well, and I think they get to see collaboration. And I was going to say, Sarah, we've talked to you a couple of times, always about very serious topics like the Me Too album or the Quarantine Dream. Yeah. So you don't feel like you can bring it to a certain fun level, but I think that the Toilet Tunes is genius. because it gives you such opportunity. And I think anything that promotes that kind of collaboration.
Yeah. I miss it so much. I mean, when I did one with Dustin Timberghost, it was like March 13th, and that's the last time someone's been in the bathroom. But then I was able this summer, I'm just gonna always find a way to do this stuff with people because it makes me so happy. So I did backyard toilet tunes. My lawn was green this summer. We don't do anything to it, and so we get lucky. It was green this year, and so I did the big green backyard. And the sound was kind of crappy because you're outside, and so people would be like, "I could hear cars." Well, yeah, because you could, and just like in the bathroom, it's not going to be perfect. We're in the bathroom, and that's great. I think the energy that you get, even just in this conversation, right? Like there's an energy in being on with another human being that's such a gift. And so I seek that out as much as I can, I guess. Yeah.
Which is good.
Is that what kind of led to your I Miss You series?
Yes. Yeah. So I've been doing Hey, I Miss You. That was something I dreamed up on a run. I was listening to a podcast and I was thinking about missing people. And I just was like, oh, I could do a show because I had grown familiar with some of the technology that allows you to do that. And I was like, I'll call it Hey, I Miss You. Oh, Graham Bramlett's going to be my first guest. This is who else is going to come on. And it was just, it reminds me, when I think back on that moment, it's like the end of The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy's like, and you were there. And you were there. And I was totally having this run. And I'm like, she'll be there. And Mickey will come. And,
Nice.
And it's happened. And it's been, again, so much fun. It's my thing I look forward to all week. I get to sit down with someone and just listen to them and talk. And that's the other thing is we've been doing all these live streams. So usually when I'm singing to my shows, I'm singing to my own face and I'm tired of my face. I so want to sing to someone else's face.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Hey, I Miss You, I get to be the face for someone else, and that's been really great. And I've also been able to have people who don't live in town, so I did this songwriting contest a few years ago in Texas and met just a ton of great songwriters from all over the place. So I've had people from Nashville on the show now and Dallas, and it's been cool.
Awesome.
Portugal. Yeah.
Ooh.
I know, right? Very
That's
fancy. We went international.
Fancy. Yeah. What?
That's great. Well, and I think Heather and I have fun. It's a fun time because it's a weird time to be talking to people. It really, it means that once a week, or sometimes we do this 3 times a week, you really focus on the world as it is.
Yeah.
And I think it helps at least for us to reflect and to hear how other people are dealing with this has been interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's that's where you get kind of that sense of, I think some of the songs that on the EP are like this. It's I'm feeling all these super weird feelings and I'm so lonely. And also I'm never alone, but I'm still lonely, and so it's such a talking to other people and having them say, oh yeah, me too, is just okay, thank you. I just need to know that I'm not the only one.
Well, and I think I need to know which order. I feel like I know which order these were written, which was written in which month. But I mean, the Be With You, that, that, as you were saying, that I hardly know what day it is. I mean, it's just really, the clock could say 12 o'clock sometimes, and I would know it was AM or PM.
For sure. Oh, and especially this past week was daylight savings time. All week I was like, why am I hungry now? Should I be hungry now? Am I supposed to be sleeping? What's happening? It was the worst.
It is just, it's yeah. So do tell when did you write each song? Because it does feel like different, the different chapters that many of us have experienced, probably not all in the same order.
Yeah, that's true. I Need You, which is the one I did with Jillian. That's actually the first one I wrote. And that one was written 2 weeks into lockdown. Kids are distance learning. Nobody knows what's going on. No one knows what we're supposed to be doing, like, because protocols keep coming, and I was, just at home all the time and didn't have a songwriting prompt to work on. And my husband, I think, had given me your crabby Sarah thing. And so I have, one of the things I do is I have a Patreon community. They are beautiful and they're so good to me. And a few of the people in the Patreon community are at a level where they have prompter status. And so I went to one of them, Greg, and I said, Greg, could you give me a song prompt? And he gave me back the word interdependence was what he gave me. And I was like, wow, right now, I mean, so the like right away that just went to the, like, I need you, and I need you to need me too. I mean, that's like the heart of the song, right? Like,
yeah.
We truly could not do this alone. And anyone who tried, like, it doesn't work. Like, we need each other on a small scale. I need my kids and my husband to all like be with me in this and work together. But also I need these people I've never met to like also do their part. And I want to do my part. Yes. And I need to do my part for the people I've never met. Right. Like, it's just, I remember also kind of sweetly that it felt at that time like we were going to come out like, oh, we're going to come out with this greater sense of that, and then it just went on so long and things started to go like in all the different directions. But there was that period where I felt like we were all going to be like, as like a whole, we're here, team, go, but so that was that song. And it really, I mean, it was really honest. I shared it only with my Patreons for a long time. And and that was the end of March. And then Be With You, which you talked about, hardly know what day it is. That was mid-May. I was on a run. That first line came to me, which was spring came early this year or came late. I can't tell, which is true.
Yep.
Again. And here we are. And I got a song prompt like a few hours later, and it was the word flourish, which is such a beautiful word and super. I mean, if you look back on where we were in mid-May last year, I mean, who knew? It kind of felt like maybe we were getting through it. We had no sense really of what was to come in a couple ways. And and so that's where that song went. And the heart of that is I feel comforted knowing you might feel the same weird feelings I do too, and that's the one I shared with Andrew, my bass player. And originally I sent that to him probably right away, but I was like, will you arrange this for the band? Because I'm sure we're having band shows soon.
Once the snowstorm is over, I think we'll be okay.
For sure. And then eventually I asked him to pivot and duet with me on it. But then the last one that I wrote for the album is Between Here and There, the title track. That was inspired by the prompt Canyon. And that just kind of fell out. It was late August. My kids were going to be going back to school soon at home. And I knew that. And we had kind of had summer break, which looked just like school was going to look, which looked, like it was just so weird. And we live right next to our school and other kids have gone back. And so it was this very weird space, like getting ready to see other kids going back into the building, but we weren't doing it. It was just, I don't know, lots of crying,
Yeah.
It just was.
So you had the option to send the kids and said no.
Yeah.
We haven't had the option.
Okay.
And my kid is two are in college. They could choose for themselves. That's my weird thing is, I haven't seen two of my kids because they go to school in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of so even though obviously there's a very, and you may see one of them walk through here in a second. Even given that big, huge difference, it is how that I relate to so much of the songs, and Heather, I'm sure you do too. Even if the circumstances
I was going to say,
there's those feelings that just.
Sorry, the Be With You was like, you want to make me cry. Just like the connection of everything and going, thank you for putting it in a beautiful way and still feel safe and connected with people.
Thank you for saying that, Heather. Thank you.
Oh, it's true.
You know what's funny is that when I was listening to it, yeah, and well, your voice is so beautiful. That I think it's easy for you to pull on the heartstrings. But I mean, that you've got that voice that really just is. And some of the songs are kind of plaintive, and some of them are. But in a lot of ways, it feels like a collection of love songs to your people.
Yeah. Yes, that totally feels appropriate. It was interesting because of the process of like handing the tracks over to collaborators and then like kind of receiving them back and then singing to them. Like in the studio, everything was quieter for me in a really neat way. Like, and I just felt a different level of responsive, like singing to Jill. Like I was singing to Jillian when I sang to that track, and I was singing to Andrew, you know, and of course singing to broader spectrum of people as well. But it was easy to sink in and just feel that person that I'd collaborated with, and I loved that so much. Like it was, yeah. I kind of was like, can I just do a bunch of albums like this where I find friends who can record at their house and here, do you want a song? Let's do that. Okay.
I was going to say, this kind of answered my question, because I know you are such a great writer and have the song writing challenges and stuff. I just found it interesting because if you found yourself going in a different level with the emptiness of not being around your people and whatever. And when you were saying you were singing it to them, I guess that could be an answer. But have you noticed anything else? If that makes
like in my songwriting changing, like because
if you're just tapping into something different, you know, if you're just reflecting in something that you're missing from this time, you're going to it through your songwriting or whatever. Because I know you're a deep writer, so yeah, I don't know.
Thank you. I definitely think things are, I mean, my goal as a songwriter, right, is always to tell the most truth. That's always my thing, right? And I think most people, I want to tell the truthiest truth I can. And I want, and I think that what I've noticed lyrically in the last year is there's been a lot more kind of like I'll either stuff a ton in there, you know, like it's just like here things are a little less structured. I think that's what I've noticed. I've been willing to be a little bit more playful and like ruminate kind of on the like that's not the right word, but like my phrasing has changed a bit. I think Be With You is a really good example. It's got like the second half of the second verse, it has this really long phrase, which is a restlessness like I've never known. I've paced each inch of my kitchen floor and the door's unlocked, but there's an open road if I had an inclination. Like so much, so many words, but I was like still found a way that it like felt like talking. And so I do think there's become like a different intimacy with that, I guess. I'm alone with my singing all the time. Like there's not a band to, I don't have solos coming around, you know, so I think that's changed. And my singing probably has then also gotten a little more intimate as well, because this is what it's not a microphone, right? It's a phone. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the wordiness. And it still did flow because I was like, ooh, but it's like, I can't erase any of this because this is what I'm feeling. It's important to stay in. Yeah.
Thank you.
It made me think of, you know, Paul Simon, if you can fit Cinematographer's Party into a lot, you know, but that kind of, you know, often wordiness will sound like rap and there's a little bit of a cadence like that to it, but it's really like the Paul Simon. I love a wordy song. You know, I noted that right away when I in my note when I take my notes.
Yes. Well, I like wordy too. And sometimes my choruses tend to be really long. And what's interesting about Be With You is the chorus was so short for me. Like that's a really short chorus. And when I was done with it, I was like, yeah, yay. All right. And it's actually an under 4-minute song, which is also not very common for me, but yeah.
Yeah. It's well, and I like the I have to tell you, I have the order of the songs completely wrong.
That's okay. Shuffle. You're on
but
shuffle.
As I said, it hadn't occurred to me before because you think everybody goes through the same. Like this was our first, and then of course, and especially for anybody in Minnesota, that after May 25th, after the murder of George Floyd, I think that was a very different, so it is super interesting to hear how we were in different, the same places at different times.
Yep. Yeah. And it was interesting. Yeah. June was hard. I didn't really write much in June. I mean, I think that was, especially in Minnesota, just a really challenging time. And I didn't know what to say, that, and so, yeah, I think we've had a lot of different stages. Recently, I think in Minnesota, we've had another different stage, just that we have winter in a way that, like, when I talk to people down south and they're like, yeah, we're still having quarantine, but we're also still outside. And I was like, you don't understand. It was just negative. We can't go outside and see Fred. We can. Right. Some people are very hardy, but there was that like week and a half in February where that wasn't happening.
Nope.
I don't know. So I do think there's been like we've had a specific experience as a metropolitan area.
Well, and this has been the first year that the dark has bothered me in the winter. Normally, it's the old Madness line of, the longer the daylight, the less I do wrong. I mean, usually I'm like, bring on the night. Let's go see some live music. But, these 4:30 darkness, and I think, oh my God, long time till daylight.
Yeah. Yeah. Which that's a song like on its own right there. I feel like long time till daylight must be like.
Daylight. It feels like that. But I think right now it feels like, at least for me, it feels like a hard time right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My anxiety is really high, has been extra. I think I'm not vaccinated yet, and I'm excited to when it's my turn.
Yeah.
I'm ready, but I do think that it's just kind of like you said, that people are in different stages at different times. That's amplified right now because there are people who are like,
yep,
definitely able to move, appropriately, like move to a different place with this, and then there's other people. It's like the experience is more disconnected right now than it even was, it's less shared feeling. And I think that makes me have more anxiety because then I don't know. Yeah. It's such a fascinating, like, in a non-nice way.
I was just saying, that's a really nice way to put it.
I don't really mean it like a charming, fascinating at all, but I mean, I think one of my coping mechanisms is not to gloss on it at all, but just to be like, to kind of what I learned from my son, is like, he can observe things without judging it, which I feel like is also what my meditation app is always trying to teach me, like, and so my 11-year-old and my meditation app, they're on the same plane of like being really solid at like, this just is. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. It just is. And I am trying to listen to those two sources when I can, but that's not always easy.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, part of the thing is nothing's easy now.
No.
Wine
is.
I don't even care if you mean with or without the H. They're both easy.
Yes.
I think
True.
that's
Both
well.
kinds.
What does help, and what you're between here and there gets to is when you're not doing it alone. I mean, I think that there's, you know, and I understand. Here's the kind of the other funny the same and the differences is I understand that, you know, at one time I had a house full of 3 kids and, you know, there would be 5 of us in a household. And that's got to be hard right now, especially when kids were little. I can remember thinking if I had a day in this house to myself with no other people, that would be Christmas for me. You know, that would be such a different, you know, now that I have a house where I'm often alone for a long time, it's, you know, it's hard for everybody right now.
Yes. And I talk to, you know, I mean, I think I have lots of friends who are living different lives right now. And I'm always like, yes, that is so hard. And this is so hard. And they are all their own shades of hard. And I've run out of like what to say about any of it, you know, and, you know, so I fall back on a lot of, I don't know, saying the same things, but I mean them. It's just that I've run out of, you know, I had a friend the other day ask me instead of how are you, which I do mean it. If I ask you how you are, I want to know, even though people are like, sometimes that will send me into a torrent. I'm whatever, you know how I am. I'm awful. I'm this and whatever. But I had a friend who said, how is your heart and soul doing? And I was like, oh, okay. I'm gonna sit with that for a minute. Like, and I was so touched that because I knew she meant that too. You know, it wasn't just like a Hallmark card. I mean, that was like, she meant it. And I was like, we were WhatsApping. And so I sent her back. I was like, I love your question so much that I'm going to have to get back to it on another day. Cause I need to I want to honor that question with some thought. I don't know that I've figured it out, but
I was just going to ask if you.
I was going to say, then you got to tap into that and you can't shove it back in quickly if you need to.
Right. And I want to shove it back in because that's how I get to the next, you know, the next thing.
Moment.
Yeah. I have, so I'm a really big morning person. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but so that is the one part of the day that I always look forward to is like waking up in the morning and like my sacred space. And I can really feel like all the feelings right there. And that's a good thing. And then I go on my run and then I get back and then it's like, now we're doing busy. And if the things are not convenient, I might have to like wait for an hour to think about that or feel about it. Or if I say that, for sure, we're all going to end up screaming and yelling and crying because that's the other response. Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy your morning pictures.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
I am not a morning person. When my kids were little, I was, because then I went to the gym at 6 and same thing. Yeah. That was my time. My time. And then I'd come home and, you know, hold it together or no one held it together. You know, and I can only imagine how exacerbated that is during this time. Well, there's, you know, the music does help, but I think that you give people a gift in this music because all of us have said all the same things, you know?
Yeah.
I'm forever looking for the silver lining. Well, if I never say silver lining again, that's okay with me.
Okay. Every once in a while, you'll see an actual silver lining though on a cloud. And then I'm like, oh, I get why that's such a thing. Like that is a really beautiful cloud occurrence. My morning pictures have saved me. You know, that's been another thing. It's like just giving myself that I'm going to once a day look at the sky and find something that makes me go, and say thank you about it. And that's been crucial. You know, the other thing I do with my kids is when it's a school day, right before school starts, we play Paula Abdul's The Promise of a New Day. And we dance to that. And we have done that every school day. And
nice.
While it's like, I don't know, it's a bit of a Pavlovian trick. Like, here we go, kids.
Oh, genius.
It's a school day. and it's a new day. There's no reason it couldn't be fantastic. It might prove to not be within 15 minutes. It's true. But there was that 3 minutes and 50 seconds
That moment.
where we were like, what? Eagles calling, and it's calling your name.
Hey,
Yes.
I might have to borrow that with mine who's at home. Only we're going to be using New Day Rising by Husker Du because that's more my style.
You whatever works, but I think that kind of circles back to the importance of music in this time, right? Like,
Oh,
and I have noticed a really raw like connection to different kinds of music. There have been periods where I need music, but I can't hear words. And so I will text Lars, my drummer. He's got great taste. And I'm like, Lars, I cannot hear someone else's words right now, but I need music for today. And he will be like, you need to listen to this Portuguese accordion player. And he was totally right. That's exactly what I needed. And but I will start listening to a song, and sometimes I'm like, even though I love you, you are not right for right now.
Yeah.
Like my stuff my thoughts are immediate, and I don't waste time with listening to something that's not the right thing. Like, I'll move on. I don't know. Have you had that experience at all, or like?
well, my sad story is that I had root canal last week, and I've been humming Neutral Milk Hotel ever since because I find it turns out that's what you listen to when you get a root canal.
We did that in the bathroom once, me and Jim Walsh.
A root canal?
No,
Oh, I'm teasing.
that's a different episode. Well, someday.
Sorry, I had to ask. So Neutral Milk. So what did you do?
Yes, in the airplane over the sea.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I very much my other go-to would have been Stone Roses, which is what I used to listen to when I flew a lot. I'm afraid of the dentist and I'm afraid to fly. So there is something very, as you say, very Pavlovian about it. When I listen to when Stone Roses comes on, I feel like as soon as we hit this, I can order a beer. I mean, I can close my eyes and I can picture. And there are is my eldest daughter, and she had a radio. Actually, she still has a radio shop up in Winnipeg where she goes to school, and she was going through her first big heartbreak. And she said, how can I fix it? I was like, I don't know how you can fix it, but 69 love songs, Pumpkin, that's what you need to listen to. So she was.
Yeah.
And
that's it.
I was going to say, and your music today just, I'm not one who tears up lightly, but it's beautiful music, but you feel the loneliness of it. It's my sister loves to watch Terms of Endearment, which sometimes I think, what? But it's that cathartic.
Yeah.
And that feeling like you're not alone.
Yes. I'm not a crier, but I've become someone who cries more easily. And anytime it happens, like I actually am like, thank goodness. Like that felt so good in a way, like just to kind of expel and also be right there. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like part of probably our roles as like women and caretakers is there's always this, keep going. We've got this.
Yep.
That you're so busy doing. And so just being honest and like letting that feeling happen feels like a luxury you can't always afford in some way. Does that seem appropriate to like? And now you can't afford not to do that because it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I was walking with my friend that I walk with all the time, walking with my Monica today, and my anxiety too is very. I mean, there's that whole root canal, just very, very high. And I said, things that I could normally blow off, I might find as a small annoyance. And I thought about it. I'm like, that's because my cup is full.
Yeah.
I've got no room for that. the stupid shoelace that keeps coming untied. I've got no room for just
No.
it's normally, but I think I'm the same way where I can cheer up a lot. What I really need is a night of hard dancing. You know, I need to go to the turf club. I mean, that's what I think that used to build up some capacity for me, you know, and in lieu of that, an album like the EP that you just put out is, it hits a different note, but it's the perfect note for the day that's in it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's a hard time. I mean, it's just a hard time.
It is. Yeah. It was really these songs. I mean, I do love them in a way that like I could see myself playing them in the after, we'll say.
Yes.
But it was important to me to get it out now. You know, like I kind of near the end, like put the pedal to the metal on a couple things. I mean, I did a lot of things by myself that I wouldn't have normally done. Like I did the artwork, which I don't think is called for normally, but I did it. And, you know, because I really was like, no, it needs to come out in March. I want it to come out on this first day of spring. And yeah. And then after I picked the day, I was like, oh, also 3, 2, 1, liftoff. That's a great day. Let's all release things on today.
Oh,
3, 2, 1, go.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Get it?
That is awesome.
So we can release other things after this, you know, and it's Aries season and it's all kinds of goodness happening.
It's perfect. It's the soundtrack for what we're going through. And people will listen, you know, years from now, people will listen to this music from this era, like we listened to music from, 1968.
Yeah.
It's
good. That time, it's a time capsule. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. I hope the people, when you make this stuff, you know, like my dream is always just to kind of put it out there and just be like, here, I made this for you. And I don't know who the you is that I made it for. I just hope it finds the person that, you know, needs it, wants it. Yeah.
Well, I think that the crowd that needs to hear this is a big crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, it's which is great in a lot of ways. I mean, you just speak to the era. What's hard is this is a hard time. So yeah. All of us need a tear. I mean, we just need the catharsis of it, and the catharsis and that recognition that you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not going crazy. I mean, you are, but we all are. I mean, you know, it's
exactly.
It really this is for the time that's in it. It's that anxious feeling is real. It's
well, and it's such a sustained anxiety too, right? I mean, I feel like we've had these ups and like tiny downs and then ups and tiny downs, and it just, I think we've gotten my son said at dinner tonight, he said something essentially like, I mean, we've been in pandemic so long now, it's just kind of what we do. And I was like, I hate that. I hate that you just said that. And also it's totally true. And I can tell because again, it's my son. He's not saying it with judgment. He's just like, also the last time we all talked together, remember my son ran on the screen wearing his like bathrobe really quick.
Yes.
So far, so good. They thought I was doing a live stream tonight and they were like, well, can I watch what you're doing? And I was like, you can't watch what I'm doing. You need to be in bed reading. So, I am doing a live stream on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
It'll look just like this. If you're watching our thing instead of listening, but it will look just like this. And I will be singing the EP songs and I will be doing, oh my gosh, I don't know where it went. Okay. I will be doing, thank you. I will be doing songs from the EP and I will be doing some songs from All Mine, which came out right before pandemic, which, so that still feels like a new baby as well. Yeah.
At the Turf Club, wasn't it?
At the Turf.
Yeah.
Super packed and sweaty and awesome.
That is, you know what's funny? It certainly wasn't the last show that I saw, but it's one that I really remember hugging a lot of people that I don't see that regularly.
It was hugging. There
was a
hugging.
lot of hugging going on there.
Oh, I love hugging. I love it so much. And I told everyone, like, when I see you post, like, the hugs will be longer. Once it's safe, it's going to be, you're going to see me hug you, feel it like for a longer period than you would expect. And that's okay. I mean, only if it's okay with the recipient, of course. But yes, Tuesday night at 7:00, we will be here. And by we, I mean me and my guitars. And I'm also doing it 6:45. It's me on Facebook and YouTube. I'm doing a cocktail pre-show with cocktails from the Flying Dutchman. So I will also have a tiny table in my bathroom, and I'll be shaking cocktails and talking about the cocktails. So it's going to be a fun night. Live streaming has been something that when I first started, I was really hesitant to do it. And then I kind of fell in love with it because, just like we've talked about, I had this Tuesday run every Tuesday at 7:00. And so the same people would come every time, and I could picture them. I got really excellent at being like, oh, there's Lisa S. There's Lisa BR. There's Johnny. I see you. There's my Aunt Barb. And I could, like, even though I'm just looking at my face, I could, like, populate the venue of my mind. The venue of my mind. And it was just like such a community, and watching people talk to each other in the comments was such a gift. And so that's the other thing we're celebrating that night, is just kind of like, hey, we started doing this a year ago, and we did not the whole year, but quite a few of them. And I just kind of grew to love them. So that's it. That's a thing.
And cocktails in the bathroom, that is the most efficient thing I've heard in a long time.
Right. You can get it all done right here.
Well, some bathtub gin. You could.
That's true. I don't have a bathtub. I've got a shower, but we can do shower gin. I don't think I have a gin cocktail this go around. I'm doing a tequila and a rum, but it's really fun. They make like the kits, so you get the mixer, the garnish, the bottle, and then I just make my bathroom. When I'm done, I've taken pictures because I'll have like my iPad up for YouTube and my phone for Facebook, and both guitars and my amp and the table and it's just like such an explosion of like chaos, and I love it so much. And then because I run the venue, no one's complaining, it is.
You can go over, free drinks for everybody.
For sure.
A line for the bathroom. That's the only problem that you would.
Right. Yep. Nope. Only I get to go. Sorry, kids.
You do a great job with doing the live streaming and everything. And it's that's a lot. I think you have to be a solid multitasker.
I think about it as like, well, now we're in charge of sound and tech.
Yep.
We're in charge of lights. We're in charge of promoting the show and starting the show. I mean, it's like you're so many things. And now I'm also making my own drinks.
You're going to be the one-woman venue when we're all done.
Right? We all are. I mean, that's like the thing. Everyone's going to have, and there will be new skills that come out of it. And that's cool, and we're all going to have phone mics that we're going to wish we could put away,
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's funny because I think about it. We've done about 100 of these interviews since COVID.
Wow.
And I'm going to actually count it out to see, Sarah, if you're the 100. I thought about it as you were talking about your numbers. I'm like, geez, I bet we're damn close to that.
Well, let's celebrate. That's my confetti. I got pics. What have
I got? Here's the funny.
Like, what else can I throw? More
picture.
ties.
Here's what I can contribute.
What's
From
that?
Palmer's, the ceiling of Palmer's.
Oh, there you go.
Aww.
I won't throw it because I might be afraid of the dust that came
Don't
out.
do that.
Asbestos.
Exactly. Sarah, tell people where they can find you online. So we've got Tuesday, 6:45 for the cocktail hour. And then
Yes. Yeah, so you can find it on YouTube, Sarah. It's youtube.com, Sarah Morris Music. there's so much there. If you wanted a rabbit hole, because you have like all these bathroom videos to, hey, I miss you, toilet tunes. It's just, I never leave this room. And there's a lot of videos of it. But then that's also going to be on Facebook. And then my website has links to it as well, sarahmorrismusic.com. And then you can stream it at all the places. The record is everywhere today. I was so pleased. I woke up at 4:30 and like just the joy when you populate, you send your album off like through that. I use DistroKid, whatever. And you say, go put it in the places. And when you wake up and it really is in all these crazy
it's
places,
gotta be.
like, oh, it worked. I inputted it correctly. There's just.
Oh, I do understand that.
Because there's so much that can go wrong, but.
I publish a lot of things online. I absolutely understand. And then I see it and I'm thankful when there are no typos or if at least, like my day job, I'm always afraid that I don't write about public school, but I just miss one letter.
Oh yeah.
That is my fear always.
One.
Big difference. No,
everything. Difference.
Yeah. Everything looks great. It sounds great. It is. I list. I don't. You can see your numbers climb up today because I've been listening to it all day. I really.
Thank you so much.
It's not hard to. It really is. Very touching. Very.
That means so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so good to see you both again.
It's always great.
You do such good work, and I appreciate the way I just feel like you've kept us connected. I mean, like we all miss each other, right? But through this show and like getting to see so many of our peers, like talk to you, and it's part of the connective tissue right now.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Dare I say it? It's been a silver lining.
You can say it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I don't want to say it again. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.